Truth Frequency Radio is your number one source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We're proud to feature cutting-edge programs like The Christopher Everard Show, The Covert Report with Susan Lindauer, Enemy Within Radio with Tom Barnes, Freaky Friday with The Woo Crew, The Gematria Effect with Zachary Hubbard, America's Evil Genius with Travis Cook, Phoenix Rising Radio with Phoenix, Quantum Connections with Lucky, and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any telephone by dialing 641-793-7117 or call into your favorite show toll free at 833-TFR Live. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear in the mainstream media. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
Impeachment arguments, rainy struggles. I'm Jan Johnson. President Trump is applauding another record high for the stock market, suggesting it's a bad time to, quote, impeach your favorite president. The president's tweet comes as the House Judiciary Committee says it's holding open the possibility of recommending additional articles of impeachment based on testimony from an ex-White House counsel. As Evan Perez reports, that former official was at the heart of another court argument today over whether he can defy a congressional subpoena.
President Trump says he can give absolute immunity to close aides, and he says that the House cannot subpoena those people to provide testimony, which is what the House has been doing for several months. They've been fighting to bring Don McGahn, the former White House counsel, in to talk about the president and the issue of obstruction of justice. The courts so far have ruled that the president cannot do that. He cannot just give absolute immunity to his aides. They at least have to answer the subpoena, have to show up.
Officials say North Korea is planning a harder line policy as part of a promised Christmas gift to the U.S. As Paula Hancock reports from Seoul, they're also doing what appear to be more tests of Pyongyang's missile program.
There has been recent satellite imagery that officials have been poring over. It shows that there has been increased activity at two sites. The one site, the Sohae satellite launch site, is where we have seen in recent weeks two tests suspected to be engine tests.
Shoppers and travelers are getting rained on in both the west and the south. Downpours and flash flooding temporarily closed Florida's Fort Lauderdale Hollywood Airport, while in Columbia, South Carolina, National Weather Service forecaster Jeff Linton says so much rain fell that a dam gave way.
That resulted in some home evacuations, and there also was a car washed off the roadway. It was resulted the recent rain and plus already saturated soil.
Wall Street, the Dow gained 96 today. I'm Jan Johnson.
You must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR, Truth Frequency Radio.
Astronauts to the moon.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Not to get off track here, but I feel like we're in the Truman Show and we're in a snow globe and they just shook it up.
Welcome to reality.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your protection from deception right here at truthfrequencyradio.com. You are correctly tuned into the number one show on Truth Frequency Radio on Monday nights between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 to 11 Eastern. That show's Jeranism Monday Night Raw, and it starts now. I'm your host, Jeran from Jeranism, and we are live on TFRlive.com, on YouTube, on the Jeranism Raw YouTube channel, and live as well at dlive.tv/Jeranism. So welcome all. My co-host for tonight, well, and always, the man, the unicorn, the legend, from deep inside the rabbit hole, Dave Weiss. Dave, happy holidays, my friend.
Thank you, Jeran. Glad to be here.
It's awesome to have you. Are you going to add our guest, or is that coming up later?
Oh, I thought you were doing that.
I don't think I even have him on Skype.
I sent you his Skype.
When?
Stand by.
Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by.
You could talk. It was I just got set up. I literally couldn't hear anything until 2 seconds before you said my name. And
all right.
Now.
Here, it is December 23rd. Happy holidays. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We do have a special guest lined up, but we need to add him to the Skype call, so it'll be just a few seconds. That special guest is, of course, Russian Vids. And if you don't know Russian Vids, then you haven't been on YouTube, then you haven't been in the truth community. You haven't watched any good videos, because Russian Vids bangs it out every time. He's done a couple good ones recently. Of course, attacking Anthony Cumia, who was on.
Yeah, that was good.
That was really great.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, there you are. What's up, Russian Vids? How are you?
RV,
hey,
man.
Jeran, how's it going, pal?
Good. Nice to talk to you.
Good talking to you too as well. David, how's it going?
Isn't this better than a non sequitur show?
Oh, those guys are just vile. I mean, before we go on live with them, they're like the nicest people in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like once the bell rings, boom, they're throwing like lefts and rights and uppercuts, and it's all strategic what they do, of course.
Yeah, and then they had a meltdown. I don't even know, do they still have shows after that whole meltdown situation? I don't obviously pay any attention to that channel, but I know that they had that whole dumpster fire. You did a good video on that as well.
Yeah, that was bizarre, where they're all buddy, and then they started going after each other like there's like a bunch of cats,
right?
Just scratching each other. It was just ridiculous how vile they got towards each other, and it became ugly. And I think Kyle's the main guy there. He's not even doing anything anymore. They're just like done.
Okay, yeah, I figured that they had stopped. I don't know. I mean, Kyle, I exposed that guy for being a liar. I mean, in a private Skype, he told me that he doesn't think we went to the moon. And I brought that up, and he denied it. And then, Steve said, there's no way he ever said that. And then they tried to play off when I showed him proof. I said, oh, no. He was joking in your private Skype.
Yeah, Jeran, I saw that video that you made, and you completely exposed them. But the thing is this, they're like attorneys or something. They're good at twisting things, and they try to weasel their way out of their lies. They're so transparent, For example, you can show them a quote or a video quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson saying something, about you can't see the curve of the earth from an airplane. They'll just throw it, it doesn't mean anything all of a sudden,
Right.
This is how they work. They just weasel their way out of every situation. It's like there's no winning with them. It's just how it goes, and they have a bunch of cult followers, but they're done. I guess Steve McRae, he's still doing his podcast, but it's just a bunch of nonsense, just a bunch of people talking about a bunch of nothing.
Hey, RV, have you seen my latest series on spaceships being blimps and balloons?
Yeah, I saw that, and I saw the orange rock, supposed orange rocket, but it was nothing but a balloon, a blimp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
The more I look into these things, the more I'm now not 99% convinced that they're balloons, that I'm 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. Willing to look at any other evidence, but there is no doubt, there's no odds that anyone could give me to bet against that. Jeran, I sent you over, someone sent me a video, all of SpaceX's landings, those upright landings in order. Did you watch any of those?
Yeah,
you've seen them all. But the first dozen, I'm like, that is a balloon with a little the fire coming out of the bottom. I don't even think is really thrust.
Here's the thing is, guys, David, what they do is this. They purposely make things more ridiculous. So when you point it out, it's like the people that believe are just not going to go there. But it's like you have two extremes. The people that no matter what evidence you show them to prove it's fake, they're going to believe the mainstream. And to us, it's so obvious. It's like, how are these people so blind they can't see the fakery, And it's like of course, Starman is just absolutely ridiculous. You can see through the spokes of the tire. Yeah. It's all absurd. But, it's just like the lunar lander. That thing is not only airproof, it's not waterproof, it's nothing proof. And again, when you get to the point where these people cannot see through it, they're done. They are completely programmed. they're finished, and there's nothing you can do. There's no turnaround for them.
I was curious the other day, and I Googled my channel name and to see what other people were saying about me. And I found a couple of these brawny guys that are just like NASA fanboys that are just trying to destroy me. They're like, he jumped the shark. He's now saying that, rockets are blimps. And they literally would go through my videos, my blimp videos, piece by piece. And the last one I did where we saw that weird debris floating with the external tank blimp, right?
You showed that video. I don't know why you watch garbage like that. The guy has 20 views on that.
It doesn't matter. I was just curious, and I want to see because it helps me learn. Like when they come up with a reason that it's not true, I'm like, oh, that could be interesting. But now I'm looking at these things. It's so nonsensical. His answer was that piece was obviously a discarded piece of tinfoil. That was
oh my goodness.
That was alongside the 58,000-pound tank. The guy. So tinfoil. Okay, so is it falling as fast as the tank? And the other guys say that the tank isn't falling because it has that forward momentum. So this big non-aerodynamic piece of turd is going sideways at Mach 18 or whatever, and that's why it doesn't appear to be going down. It's like sometimes, like when I'm on a radio show and they're taking calls, I used to get nervous, like, oh my God, someone's going to ask a tough question, someone's going to ask a question I can't answer. Now I'm like, there's no chance anyone's going to ask me anything that's even challenging. That's how I feel.
Well, you've been at this for so long, and you've been on so many different platforms. It's like you're on cruise control. It's like, I guess you can almost compare it to a pilot. The first time he flies a plane, he's probably sweating bullets. After that, he's just another day at the office type of thing, when you do it so much. And practice makes perfect, like the old saying goes. One thing I want to mention to you guys real quick is I saw this interesting footage today, 2 pieces of footage on Twitter with this one. I'm pretty sure you guys maybe seen one of the two, with the one Dutch astronaut, and he drops a screw.
Yeah.
You guys seen that one, right?
I love that one.
Okay, yeah. There's another one where another astronaut, he drops a clip, like he's holding something, and there's like a clip in his hand, and it drops, and he's trying to regain and capture it in his hand. And I just saw that today for the first time. So the screw has been out. The screw dropping has been out for a while, but this one is new to me that I saw today, and I'll send it to you guys sometime for sure. I have that saved on my hard drives. I just saw it today. I couldn't find it on YouTube anywhere. I found it on Twitter. So, and one thing too I want to mention quickly is before the whole Starman and Elon Musk stating, it must be real because it looks so fake.
Right.
Going back in time, I made a video where he said during this one press conference where he says, we're going to make it appear that we're going to Mars. Appear? What do you mean we're going to make it appear that we're going to Mars? That's like saying, to make it, to simulate it. Appear. So when the wording, people need to pay close attention. Like a video I just put out 2 days ago where Trump says, talking about, Space Force and everything they're going to do and all this and that. And then he goes on to say, and then he says, in the future, people are going to ask, how do we do it without space? And people need to really highlight, really need to spotlight that. And I did that in the title of the video. They're with all the lies they give us, they also give us 99% lies, but the 1% truth in quotes, little things here and there. And nothing is hidden, really. That's a key thing that I really try to emphasize with people.
What about the whole idea of SpaceX? I mean, what do you put? You put X at the end of something to say, we're not doing this, we're not going there, rid X, get rid of something. SpaceX to me is just like, we're not in space. It's just all a joke, so they hide that. But it's funny,
RV thought of that.
Yeah, well, RV just brought up the Starman, so of course I had to quickly put that up on the screen and show people the absolute ridiculousness of that entire thing. And the fact, like you said, you can totally see through the wheel well. It's a cardboard cutout in a factory. I mean, that's all it is. Anybody who believes that that's some spinning car and the Earth going by is because it's spinning and it's all on camera has lost their mind.
Mark Sargent's, he points out, how come there's no logos on here? Or even if they wanted to keep it pure, how come that poster, this image, right? That's up, isn't in every Tesla dealership, isn't on a billboard. It's not on buses. It's not on billboards. It is not on it's not on Time magazine cover. It should have been everywhere, and it was nowhere. Did you guys see it anywhere other than the launch?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is that they didn't put any billboards of the lunar lander either. The thing is this: they're doing nothing new. It's the same ridiculous mockery where people are programmed. They're going to believe that piece of garbage tin can on the moon, supposedly on the moon, actually can fly around. That thing hasn't been an inch off the ground. I can tell you that. I mean, have we even seen experiments on Earth of that thing flying around? No. It's just a joke. And the thing is this: again, the people that run this world, they know how the human mind works, and people are so programmed. Nothing you could tell them. They've been blinded completely, and that's really key. Is
where's
blinded
land?
By science.
Where's land? If you watch this on what you have going now, the Starman, where there's never any land. Do you ever see land on Earth?
Eventually, I think they show Australia, but it's so easy. I mean, Iru has shown how easy it is to do this stuff in 4D Max or 3D Max, whatever that program is called that he uses. It's cheap. I mean, you can get that program for $800 and do it yourself. So, I mean, when you've got $60 million a day, and it's, we have to bring that up often because I think people forget, it would be so easy to fake this. What they're showing, I mean, look at this Earth going around here. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anybody who believes that this actually happened or this actually is in space is just fooling themselves. But it's like you said at the beginning, RV, and I totally agree, that it's a trait as globe believers that it doesn't matter what we show them. You have to realize that, we can wake up a few, but if you're talking about these staunch globe believing zealots, it doesn't matter what you show them. They're never going to admit to themselves that they've been fooled so massively.
Yeah, and I said it so many times, Jeran, it's ego. Ego's the biggest enemy of truth, and these people are full of ego and pride and what they believe and what they think they know, and their egos just can't handle it. They can't handle the truth. Like that one movie, was it A Few Good Men? Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the Jack Nicholson in that courtroom scene, that really, I've used that clip many times in videos, and it's just absurd. Here's one thing I want to point out. We all know about this, but I really want to emphasize this, is the Wernher von Braun's book back from the 50s, the head of NASA, the book about the exploration to Mars, and it's led by a man named Elon. Out of all the names, I mean, what's the chances, today, this is the man, and the man named Elon is leading this. I mean, people talk about, it's a name like Johnson or Smith, as a surname, but the first name, Elon. How many people have this surname, first name, Elon, and it just so happens from the book to so-called reality. So fiction becomes reality. Not to get off topic, but go ahead.
Harvey, you tell people that are sleeping. You explain that he wrote that book, and now Elon's leading the mission to Mars. They don't believe you. They just short circuit and they get that fluoridated stare.
Well, what's really important too is really connecting the pieces. This might be off topic, but it does relate. When you look at the book, The Titan, from 1898, and 14 years later, you have the Titanic, and you look at all the stats, the numbers, whatever you want to call it, comparing the fictional book to the so-called reality, where unsinkable ships, they sunk like 400 miles off Newfoundland. The number of passengers, they both sunk in April. Both hit on the starboard side. So they're again, fiction turns into a reality in both cases with the Titanic, and they always reinforce their lives through movies. So after an event goes down through so-called history they reinforce it in movies like the Titanic, Apollo 13, and so many other events throughout history based on, quote, true stories, which are fabrications.
Yeah, no, and I'm somebody, I've always tried to hold on to the Kennedy assassination, and every time I listen to you, I'm like, man, he's right. I mean, you just have a video thing come out by a Freemason. You can't have it come out 10 years later. Of course, you get people saying, I saw it live on TV. No, you didn't. There was no live footage of it. It just seems like such a joke. So give me a break, as you would say.
Yeah, Jeran, the whole thing is this, it's really, even for someone involved with truth for the longest time, it's really a hard pill to swallow. but it gets back to Albert Pike when he states, when the people need a hero, we shall supply him. And that's exactly what they did with Canada. You see all the Masonic handshakes.
Mm-hmm.
You see the splice in the front of the footage, the caravan going down Elm Street. Of course, the reference to the Nightmare in Elm Street later on, and recorded by a third degree Freemason, Abraham Saputo. Show me a human head that explodes outward like that. It's been played a million times. Show me any footage of someone's head exploding like that. It's really like again, it's like David talking about the blimps. It sounds so ridiculous to even propose this, and people will not buy it, and that's the problem. They make the truth so ridiculous. Like not to get off topic, like the Hillary Clinton supposedly collapsing on 9/11, going to that van, and I said it was a mannequin. People are like, "Are you nuts? That's her." I'm like, "No, look at the body movement. These people doing these things, they do the most ridiculous things, and like, if you try to present anybody with the real truth, they're gonna laugh at you, type of thing." So that's what they do. That's the whole trick of it, is making these things so ridiculous. And again, back to Starman, that was just so laughable, and people buy it. When people buy that, they're beyond hope.
Yeah, I think sometimes they're just testing how far they can take it. And obviously, you could take it a lot far if you're able to show this car and say, oh, we launched this car in space and now it's flying towards the sun or Mars. And, I'm sure you guys saw this whole mess with Boeing, and now Boeing's CEO stepped down or was fired today. Did you see that, Dave?
No, I didn't see that it was fired, but that was because the spaceship did not meet up with, get into the right orbit and meet up with the International Fake Station.
Yeah, that plus the whole, Boeing 737 MAX debacle. But, I was going to ask you, Russian Vids, and I don't know if I've ever seen you do videos on this, but have you looked into the fuel hoax?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I in the beginning, I just sit back and I analyze things before even discuss it on a podcast or anything. Definitely there's something to it. I think they use, of course, initially to like almost like light the fuse or the spark, they might use an accelerant, some type of fuel. But after that, I believe is some type of compressed air, some other technology. There's no way you could, we know how much supposed fuel is in these huge, planes. And there's no way those wings can carry that amount of fuel without, breaking off.
Right.
That's just ridiculous. And you look at the cabin of these airplanes and the amount of space underneath where luggage is stored. Where's all the freaking fuel going?
Yeah, there's no place for it. Yeah. And I totally see what you're saying. You're so right. Some of the things about the truth community, it doesn't matter how long you've been in it. If there's anything, though, that I've learned is simply when somebody says something, you just can't jump to the conclusion that you think you already know, because that's what we all did with the globe. The first time you hear a globe, you're like, what are you talking about? You fight it. First time I heard about 9/11, I fought it. And now I've just gotten to the point that I don't fight things anymore. I just let the information come, take the good, leave the bad. And a lot of the stuff that people are pointing out, and many of the things that you've pointed out, Charlotte Flair, you can name a million.
Yeah.
The first thing you think, you're like, no. And then the more you look, your research.
That's the thing is, Jeran, is like behind the scenes, I'm like looking at it. Before I even make a video, I'm spending a good amount of time looking at things. And I have to say this. I don't want to hurt my credibility. I'm like, this is going to hurt it initially with a lot of people. Some people said they unsub, but later on people come back and say, there's something to it. And that's going back to when I made the videos on Serena and Venus Williams. Mm-hmm. I get so much backlash, but a lot of people are seeing it. So I'm not afraid. And I always mention this with the initial plane crash hoax at SFO in San Francisco. No one was touching it. I said, look, this is a fake plane crash. Just look at it. Look at all the evidence that I'm showing here. And people say, well, you know what? I can see what you're getting at, but what's the reason? So why would they do this? I'm like, look, these are psychopaths running the show, and we have to sit back and wait and see what happens, how it plays out. And sure enough, what happened after that? Many plane crash hoaxes that, of course, David knows. We covered with PK in the Taiwanese plane crash. So it was like, what I'm getting at is I don't wait for someone to introduce a topic of discussion, if it's Charlotte Flair or a fake this or a fake that. If I see something for what it is, I'm not, and I'm certain with my research that I can not just pull things. I'm not pulling things out of thin air. I can provide evidence to back up my claims. I'm going to go forward with it. And of course, I'm going to be very comfortable.
And you're over the target when these dumb channels really come after you when you get so much flack. When you're wrong about something, you get destroyed by everybody. But when you're over the target, when you're over the target, you just get these hopeless attempts to debunk you, and they're barely annoying. I mean, they have nothing.
Well, that's exactly right, David. And one thing I want to point out is I talked about earlier how they make movies after they're fabricated, stories or history. That includes the more recent Richard Jewell movie, which is based on the 1996 so-called Olympic Atlanta bombing. And and I made a video showing this cop arriving at the scene. There's no blood on anybody. And he comes out of nowhere, covering his left hand with his right, and he starts rubbing blood on so-called victims.
Right.
And I haven't had one person say I'm wrong on that. And this video's been pulled many times off YouTube. I put up 3 or 4 times. It's on 153news.net. But I haven't had one person say, "No, you're wrong." Not one troll has come out and said anything about that. And that's something that really needs to be spotlighted, showing how, of course, the people behind the scenes, the media, the police are all working together. So, it's just that's the thing is putting all the pieces together. When we talk about flat earth all the time, of course, and the key thing is this is, of course, the foundation of all the lies of this world. And they've got to continue all the lies and with politics, the politicians, left and right. Again, this is why flat earth is the most important topic to discuss, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I think what you said about psychopaths is one of the most telling things that people just don't understand, and I don't think any of us understand because we're not psychopaths. But when you realize that the leaders of this world, those in charge, are psychopaths, then it will start to make sense to you that they just don't think like us, and that's what makes it so difficult for us to sometimes see the deception. Not us, maybe, but people in their regular lives just don't see it because they never anticipate that there's people out there with an active job of fooling you. And one of those people, and Russian Vids, the name of the show is Jeranism Monday Night Raw. Of course, that's a little ticket to Monday Night Raw. I used to be a huge wrestling fan, but you know as well as I do who Vince McMahon is and what's going on. He knows the game.
Absolutely, and I've been Jeran, a huge wrestling fan over the years. Been to many events at the San Francisco Cow Palace, Oakland Coliseum, Pacific Center, WWF, NWA. I watch AW, you name it, all the territories.
Right.
In Dallas, WCCW, all of them. So, but the bottom line is, what's funny is you talk about wrestling is you look at all the logos like Jim Crockett Promotions. It's literally a 666 with the JCP. Of course WWE. There's no E in the in the logo itself. You turn it sideways, it's a 33. So it's the AEW belt. It's a diamond. Diamond's 33. So they're Masons behind everything. Everything on TV. It's not gonna. It's like this. Masons run this world. They're not gonna have a non-Mason have a spot on TV producing a program or anything. They're all gonna be Masons. They're all gonna be. It's like this. With all these Masons, that are with all these lodges, high esteemed, and then how would they feel if like a non-Mason gets a spot? They get a program on TV.
Right.
It would make absolutely no sense. So definitely wrestling is huge, of course, as I've shown with the 9/11 predictive programming, and so much more when it comes to, of course, not just wrestling, but all of TV. Even things like the simple things like not simple things, but like Ebola, the Ebola hoax that went down, and they had that commercial for Holiday Inn Express. Those goofy commercials where they show like something that has nothing to do with the actual Holiday Inn, and they show those people, the hazmat suits, and they're holding a vial with this looks like green poison or whatever it is, and they drop it and they say, "Oh, I hope that's not Ebola." And then what happens? The Ebola breakout, and of course in The Simpsons as well. So they're always going to tell us what's going to happen before it does, and that's why I really focus on like today. What's going on with a lot of predictive programming with what I believe might go down with the Golden Gate Bridge, with the White House decorations this year. And you see the Golden Gate Bridge on a table next to the White House. You see the Golden Gate Bridge ornaments in the trees.
Real quick, or here.
From the dawn of man, we have turned to nature to help attain balance within ourselves. But somewhere, we lost our way. Western culture is once again remembering the healing benefits of CBD, the non-psychoactive component of the hemp plant. That's why more and more people who use CBD report relief from inflammation and chronic pain, balanced blood sugar and cardiovascular system, relief from muscle tensions, tremors, migraines, headaches, anxiety, depression, and the list goes on. The big question is, where do you get it? IALife is a 99% pure CBD oil made with all organic ingredients, and it's available to TFR listeners worldwide. If you use coupon code TFR at checkout, you'll get $5 towards your order. Head on over to ialife.com now. That's AYALife.com.
Hey folks, guess what the #1 phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea! We love this tea! Time after time, week after week, we love this tea! Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
Once in a decade, a true story comes along that remembers the future. After 6 Amazon bestsellers, I have completed the epic Birth Trilogy, a true story of Earth. By reading the Birth Trilogy, you will journey with the characters from the origin of Earth to its final destiny in a white-knuckle ride that combines the intrigue of Tom Clancy with the epic scope of Prometheus and Interstellar. You will learn more about the purpose of life, the mystery of death, and the true nature of your soul than you thought possible. The Birth Trilogy is now available on Amazon and Kindle. The audio version is a free bonus when you buy the paperback, so even if you're not a great reader, don't worry about it. I read it for you. Use the Amazon app today and buy the Birth Trilogy, spelled B-E-A-R-T-H, or search for my name. I'm Brooks Agnew.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
All right, welcome back. You are listening to Jeran Monday Night Raw. We're live with Russian Vids, DITRH, and myself. And we will be taking calls later, so if you want to get in line, call now, 213-233-3998. If you have a question or a comment for any of us, like I said, get in line. We'll also be talking about a few YouTube taboo topics after the next half hour. So, get in line. We'll talk about some of that stuff after we drop the YouTube feed, which will be happening here in about a half hour. So, like I said, we do have Russian Vids. If you don't know who he is, you're not paying any attention to great video creators, great truth tellers and truth seekers. So check him out. The link to his channel is in the description, and then also head over to patreon.com and you can support him there. It's patreon.com/RussianVids. There's a few of us on there that are doing good work, and I think we could all use the support. And if you don't want to, hey, it's okay. We still got the videos. You can watch what you want to watch. Dave, you said you wanted to maybe highlight some Christmas gift ideas. You want to do that real quick?
Yeah, a couple Christmas gift ideas and a funny story. So I'll do the gift ideas first. The gentleman that owns Flat Earth Clock Shop sent me a clock. It's like the clocks that I made, the physical clocks I made before I made the app. And they're beautiful. So he's offering a 20% discount if you put in DITRH 2020. And I think it's 20% off. But if you're looking for a gift for yourself, wrap it, put it under the tree, no name on it, claim, I don't know where it came from. And
it's a good idea.
I do that every year. I was like, wow, look at that. Amazing gift.
From Santa, right?
Kind of last week, I think it was on this show, I mentioned people can buy the Flat Earth Coffee Table book, and I got about 50 orders. So there's a lot of flat smacking going on this Christmas, which is up from last year. So I'm very happy to hear that. And the calendars, ton of those sold also. So I'm glad to see that people are doing that. It's too late to get it now for Christmas. But if you do want one, just email me first and let me tell you how much it is at that time, because the price came with whatever promotions they're having. So that's kind of fun. And then the fun story was, I told you my story last time where I was at the Apple store and the guy recognized me.
Right. Yeah. Tell that story. You told the crowd.
No, I think I told the crowd. So this is last week's story. Or I went to the Apple store. I was swapping out a phone, and the guy was just acting a little weird. And he finally goes, he's taking my information. He goes, "What's your name?" And I go, "David Weiss." He's like, "I knew it. I knew it." He whips out his phone, shows me the app, full on flat earther. Good stuff. We exchanged information, and now we're keeping in touch. But today I've been having, my internet is just horrible. So I've been going crazy with the cable company and back and forth with the phones, and I'm trying to find a local shop to get a different modem. And I went to the mall because they have a shop there, but it wasn't really a shop. It was a kiosk, which doesn't have modems. And I'm just commiserating with this, big black man. Am I allowed to say that? What do you say about him?
That is legal.
That's legal. Okay.
No problem.
So yeah, big black man, cool dude, talking to him, bitching about the company and the customer service, and he's right on board with me. And then he's like, the best thing to do is you could buy your own modem and you don't have to rent it from them. And he shows me on Amazon which modem to get. It's only like $60 rather than paying $15 a month. And he goes, he looked at me and he's like, "You look familiar. You must be here a lot or something." And I'm thinking, there's no way he knows me. And then finally I just look at him. I go, "Earth is flat. You know that." I go, "Earth is flat." He goes, "Yeah, man, I've known that for a long time. You a flat earther?" And I was like,
"Oh, wow."
I was like, why do black guys know all of the stuff before the white people do?
Yeah.
And so we were exchanging information, and I got another buddy. He wants to. He makes like videos. He wants to interview me. I'm like, "Bring it." He goes, "What do I have to do to interview you?" I go, "You're my buddy. I'll do an interview, whatever." And it's funny. It's now people are waking up everywhere. You just have to get out there and say something. It's so friggin' exciting.
David, what's interesting, David, is, and getting back to Jeran as well, talking about wrestling. And you have what's his name? Help me out, Jeran. Is it Brian? Is it Wyatt?
Yeah.
What's the son of Blackjack Mulligan? Not Blackjack Mulligan. Mike Rotundo.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt. That's it. I'm sorry.
Now they call him the Fiend.
Yeah, he's changing names all the time. But there was this one episode of Raw where he was mocking the audience, talking about flat Earth, and they showed the globe spinning, a plane going around, almost like the Universal Studios logo, the logo in motion. And he was basically just mocking it, saying, "You people all believe, that the Earth is a spinning ball." Right. Nope, it's not. And just, of course, who's behind all this? Vince McMahon in that one that one promo he did before WrestleMania with The Undertaker and Shane McMahon.
Right.
He was talking about the three miracles, hell freezing over, the seas parting, and the earth spitting on its axis.
Right.
So these people know.
That would be a miracle.
I know.
Without a doubt.
I do have to ask you, because I just saw yesterday that there's a Notre Dame college kid that's coming into Notre Dame. He's going to play football. His name's Xavier Woods, there's a wrestler named that as well. But
yes.
But the actual player coming into Notre Dame announced yesterday that he thinks the earth is flat. And, I'm just wondering, when we hear like Kyrie Irving, we hear Shaq, B.O.B., Freddie Flintoff, it goes on and on, LeBron James. How many of these do you think are legit, or do you think that they're all told to say that? There was another guy who called in to Neil deGrasse Tyson's show and said that for years he's thought the earth is flat. I have a hard time determining if they're all fake, if there's a few of the guys that actually believe it, said it. Because, like Shaq said it, and then within a few days he had to go on, of course, Jimmy Kimmel and retract it. Same thing with when Steph Curry came out and said he didn't think we went to the moon. Because it sounds to me, when I go and listen to these podcasts, it sounds like they're being completely legit, that they're saying, no, I don't think we went. I think they faked it. But then a few days later, of course, Steph Curry had to come out and say, retract that. Then they sent him to NASA for like a little trip, and then he had to make some moon shoes to wear at the All-Star game. I'm just wondering, do you think it's all fabricated?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Jeran, because basically, when I first started making Flat Earth videos back in 2015, I said, this is going to go, it's a matter of time before it goes mainstream. And literally, was it 7 or 8 months later, we all have to remember, the very first celebrity they pushed and had promote the Flat Earth was Tila Tequila. Right. And I said, this is the beginning. They're going to have people that are ridiculous pushing it, like comedians. This is how they do it. This is duality. Where science, you were supposed to look at the scientist, but they're going to lie to you. Then you're going to have like a former porn star or basketball player or baseball player, like I said, a comedian tell you the earth is flat, but no one's going to believe it, even though it's the truth. So definitely what I'm getting at is a B.O.B. the rapper. I hate to say it. We have to understand, too, when it comes to music, the music industry, they're all signing contracts. They're more or less like actors in Hollywood. They're given scripts. Same with these people in the music industry. A lot of them are given these lyrics to sing, and they're put up to this. They're part of the psyop, not only in the nation but the world. But again, getting back to Kyrie Irving, Shaquille O'Neal, Tila Tequila, B.O.B. I hate to say it, people might not like it, might not be popular, but these people are put up to it. I have no doubt about it. And getting back to Steph Curry, right after he talked about the moon landing, I knew he would retract. I knew he would do that. Chipper Jones did the same thing in regards to Sandy Hook. He did the same exact thing. He put on Twitter, I don't believe it, this, and this, and then he retracts. So this is like a constant theme they're doing. They're doing the same thing over and over again. So, yeah, definitely.
That was, you mean Chipper Jones, former Braves?
Yes, the former Braves outfielder. He came out on a tweet, and anybody can Google this right now, and basically said, I can't believe it's not out there, about the FBI and the report that nobody died at Sandy Hook, this, and this. And then literally a day or two later, he comes out and he says, I have to apologize. I was given false information, and I want to apologize to everybody I heard out there, blah, blah, blah. But again, they're putting the truth out there. And again, looking back at Flat Earth, and I'm like looking back and analyzing what's going on and how it's like I said before, I made a single video on it. I really looked into it deeply, and I said, wow, this is the truth, but very few are going to get it, and it's definitely. And I said, and I said this in one of my first videos, if this Flat Earth is nonsense, it's going to go away quickly, and of course it hasn't.
No, and where I totally agree with you is that it just seems to be, if you put it out there, you have a major basketball player, somebody come out and say it, and then everybody hears it and goes, what? And then they might pique their interest. And then if 3 days later or 4 days later it comes out, oh, no, I was kidding, or oh, no, I've been wrong, then it's just very easy to shut it down. So anybody hearing about it for the first time thinks about it, then sees, oh, no, they retracted. Oh, it's nothing to look at here. I just think it's an easy way to shape people's minds. Do quite well.
Same thing with, and I hate to bring this person's name up, and I apologize. Paul, a lot of his followers became flat earthers, even though he was trolling everybody.
Right.
A lot. This is the thing: is it's dangerous when people just go with consensus, flip flop. Like I said so many times, if tomorrow Fox News and CNN said, "Hey, NASA's nothing but a sop. They've been lying to us. The Earth is flat." literally the whole world's going to be flat earthers. We don't want this to happen. We want people to look at things, analyze things, and based on facts, things that can be proven to them, not just because, everybody else believes it, so it must be, and that type of thing. So it's very dangerous for, I don't want someone to become a flat earther because I tell them and right there and then. I want them to, their response to be, thanks for this information. I find it interesting. I'm going to look into it. That's what I want to hear. Of course, we don't want to get a backlash. Some people get very upset, but that's all I want to hear from someone. I'm going to look into it. When I hear that, bingo, that's all I want to hear, and I'm very happy to hear that when that happens. And that's happened many times.
Dave says the same thing. I say the same thing all the time. Is don't trust me, don't believe me, do your own research, look into it for yourself. If you believe me after an interview, something's wrong with you because but it does take people looking into it themselves, and you don't hear that from other channels. You don't hear Globe channels coming out saying, no, look into it. Do the research. Go out and test it yourself. Why? Because when you do, you're going to see too far and you're going to realize there's no curvature to this earth. Yeah,
Jeran and David, people should have expectations going in when you talk to someone, say at a local, whatever, a mall, your Walmart, wherever, you run into someone, they're talking about politics. Well, I'll bring up flat earth. You want to bring up politics to me? I'll bring up flat earth. And I'm going in, I know I'm planting a seed. I don't, expect them to just buy it there and then. So that's very key, walking into every single conversation. I'm planting a seed, and that seed might not grow for 3-4 months, maybe even a year, but just getting that seed planted and getting the word out there. This is a discussion.
When we're taking calls next hour, anybody that did order the book and already got it, I'd love to hear from you and tell me what you think, because it really exemplifies the phrase picture is worth 1,000 words. Because I thought about it. You're looking at those images. There's so much information going into your head just at that glance. You don't have to read the page. And it plants some super strong seeds. I love it. I wish everybody could have one. I might even look into publishing it next year. If I can get the price down to like $25, that would be amazing.
Yeah, people buy that for sure.
Yeah. So, maybe who knows? I have no idea what I can get it down, but it's the quality. It's like you put it on the table, someone sees it, they pick it up every time. They absolutely have to pick it up, and it doesn't matter what page they opened it to, they're toast.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's getting the word in person, planting seeds as a book and just, a conversation piece, and that's how it starts, and I think that's very important. Getting out there, and I know, of course, of strategically placing flat Earth stickers in a gas station wherever you can, and just getting it out there. This is so important. And the people that keep saying, "What does it matter?" These people are completely lost. I'm like, if they can lie about this, what else are you going to believe? This is huge. And if you're going to believe that, you'll believe anything. And that's literally what's happened. They do believe anything.
No, and I've been saying it forever, but it's like if you look at all the lies that you can prove, the lies that we know have happened with the government, the lies that we know happen every day with the media telling you bullshit, it's like why all of a sudden people believe that a place that they can't go, a place that they'll never experience in space, why all of a sudden they would believe that, this is what they're telling me the truth about. They lie about everything here on the ground that we can actually touch and feel and test ourselves. But when it comes to space, they're telling the truth. There's no way. That's the easiest lie, is the place you can't go verify. You just got NASA. That's it. Believe them or, join our party and expose the lie.
Absolutely. And a big thing I really emphasize to people is, the cosmetology of the whole Earth and why, people do not consider things like this, like why are the oceans salt water? Salt water is highly conductive. It makes sense with the sun and the moon circling above and the way tides work. And it makes it, they'll say, like, well, why doesn't anything else move? Why doesn't land move? Well, you're dealing with a liquid that's conductive compared to solid Earth. So don't expect the same result. So, it's just like I look at the whole big picture, and there's a reason for everything. The sun, the moon, and the way everything works, they work like a battery, the sun and moon together. And it just amazes me, how people, they can look at the sun and they're told it's 93 million miles away, and they just, that's what they tell us, and they're just going to buy it and
just believe it. Do you think that there's a chance that the creator put those things here as signs that it's a creation and we're not supposed to know how they work?
It's like it says biblically, it talks about towards the end, people are going to get like wiser and wiser, and knowledge is going to get greater and greater. And this is really important. And I definitely believe that everything's in front of us. And here's an important thing. And I don't want to go too far with this, the biblical aspect, but I really believe some people are like the song goes. There's a song not only by Thomas Dolby but also by what's the other band, Foreigner, Blinded by Science. There's two bands that have a song titled Blinded by Science. And like I stated earlier, these songs are given to them. Of course, Toto's How Can We Believe the Earth is Round? So these songs are definitely by the people that are mocking the listeners of these music of these songs. And what it comes down to is I definitely believe, what I'm getting at is I definitely believe, people that are not intended to get this truth, they're not supposed to. And I believe in the Creator only allows those to really get it that are supposed to get it. And that's how I see it. Because how can people be so blind? How can people be so blind to what's right in front of them? And that's the only conclusion I can come to.
People can't look. Yeah, people just don't look into it. I mean, that's the thing. And that's why I totally agree with you. That all I expect when I talk flat earth to anybody is that they just do their own research, go look into it. Because I think that if you actually do the research, well, then 9 out of 10 people are going to come away with it with an understanding that we've been lied to. The other one, is simply afraid to take that leap, because when you take that leap, there's a lot of things that follow that. There's it's the staircase of disbelief that Dave talks about all the time, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. Love that.
Yeah, one thing
that's from Neil Kramer.
Yeah. One thing I want to point out real quick, and sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to interrupt, but one thing I want to point out is why it's so important we continue to talk about this and never give it a rest type of thing, and keep pushing forward. Is the importance of for example, at a social gathering, a party, and you have 30, 40 people there, and if you're the only one that's speaking on flat Earth, you're gonna be ridiculed and mocked. But there's like 3 or 4 people saying, yeah, you know what, I've been looking into it. And then the other people say, wow, there's 3 or 4 of them. I don't want to be left in the dark about what's going on. There's 3 or 4 of you guys that actually, believe this. And then they're going to become interested. So what I'm getting is the more and more people, and David knows, Jeran and David, you guys know better than anybody else about getting the word out and spreading it and it being a conversation. I've been to a restaurant. I hear people at this table. There might have been 10, 12 people at a table. They're talking about flat Earth. They're talking about flat Earth. I kid you not. So when I'm like, wow, I'm just sitting back listening. I don't want to interject. I don't know these people. I don't want to butt in. It's just a private party. But
oh, come on, you have to butt in. How could you not?
I know, but I just like I'm gonna let them. I'm gonna let them do their thing, and I don't want to they're just it's kind of I don't know, it's just kind of rude maybe to interject. If it was a gathering outside, on the street, but it was a private party, and kind of like a round table type of thing, and me just hovering over them.
Give them the flatter.
I know
signal.
you would, David.
Absolutely, I'd give them your name and address too.
Yeah, I was tempted, but I said, I'm just glad to hear it, and
right,
and I'm sure they listen to you, Dave and Jeran, and all the others doing flat Earth videos. So that's where it comes down to is the first thing. Of course, this is why we're being buried with YouTube and the algorithm. Is They know it's getting out there, and to the point where it's exceeding what they expected. So they're going to put the garbage nonsense at the top, and we're just completely buried. So they control the narrative, of course.
So RV, you were Jeran. I don't know if you know this, but RV was on Greek television. What was it?
Yes, I was on Astra TV or Star. Funny thing, Astra TV, Star TV. Back in was it 2017, 2018. I made 4 appearances, and I'm planning to make another one soon again. And I brought up a lot of topics. And the very last one, I brought up the flat Earth. And basically, the host, his jaw dropped. He didn't know how to react. And the bottom line is this. I got word to the translator after that episode I was on Astra TV. It really took off in Greece. There's actually a Flat Earth Greece forum or on Facebook.
I have been noticing some Greek sales on the app.
Yeah, you have, really?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. And so what happened was, that's fantastic. So what happened was they started a group on Facebook, and it got really big. Then it got hacked. I kid you not, it got hacked. So again, this word's going around like wildfire, and it'll be awesome, David, to get on Greek TV and do your thing, man. I mean,
so RV's going to try to get me on there also, which will be fun. Just getting on these shows like I did, Anthony Cumia, that are not Flat Earth. That's I've said it a million times. That's what I love to do. So anyone that, like, if you're listening to any show, you're on a channel, you hear a talk show, if they mention Flat Earth, if they don't mention Flat Earth, reach out to them. Throw my email address out there, info@the Flat Earth Podcast. Just if a couple people do that, I'll get on more shows and I'll reach these new audiences. And I keep using the example. I got on Owen Benjamin's show, and now all of his audience knows we don't live on a spinning ball. That's big, and they're waking up more people. So there is no way Flat Earth isn't going to get way, way, way bigger this year than it has in the last 5 years. The growth. Yeah, there's no stopping it. There's no stopping it unless, of course, they flip the table over.
David, I'm sorry, David.
No, I was just going to ask you real quick. Did you have to put David in the show category for a few minutes when he was on Alex Jones?
Yeah, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to be very blunt, Jeran, and I talked to David many times about Alex Jones and with PK as well about not appearing. And I said, I wouldn't do it. But right now, I'm like, the hell with it. If we're gonna have more people hearing about this truth, why not? You're gonna have millions upon millions of people hearing this. Why would you say no to it?
Right. When Daria, the producer, reached out to me, I literally texted RV right away. I'm like, "Hey, I'm going on Alex Jones. I'm gonna be your number one shill."
Yeah, Dave was worried. Yeah, Dave was worried about me doing a hit piece on him. I saying, "Hey, David's a shill." No, I'm just joking about that, but. One thing I want to, sorry about interjecting, but very important key thing I want to say about David appearing, and it's not if it's when he's going to be on Greek TV and Astro TV, is remember, this is where the phony baloney ball earth originated. And now he's going back, he's going to be on
going back home.
Greek TV talking to the people that basically, this is, it was Pythagoras, of course, with the whole ball earth garbage, and he's going to go back on there and he's going to, convert these people into flat earthers where, originally, of course, everybody was. So to me, it's very exciting. I'm going to be honest with you. Everybody here that's listening in, David, Jeran, I was concerned about spinning wheels with flat earth. It's not. It makes me, it's like this. It's like working at the gym. When you get more results, you want to keep going. Right. When you don't get results, you want to give up. I'm seeing so much positive results. David, Jeran, everybody else involved with Flat Earth, it just keeps you wants you to keep going and push further, and that's very exciting.
So yeah, we have this momentum. The seeds are out there everywhere, and now with all of the people listening, if just a few of you just found other shows and got the contact name, got the host name, and reached out to them or passed it to me. Some people say, hey, check out this channel. I did a little research. Here's the email address of the host, or here's the inside phone number, or whatever it is. And then I'll reach out because I'm not shy. I want to get on these shows and speak to these people. I just a few shows, one show is all it's going to take. The right show, getting to the right number of people, and then there's no stopping this.
David, I think it's really, really key and important if people in the international community of Flat Earth can get you on. For example, Brazilian TV, or Japan, anywhere in Europe. I think it's really important when you have it in an international scope, and I think that's really key. And when you appear, in all the continents, that'll be amazing, fantastic. Of course, never give up here in the U.S., but it will be really nice to really go all over the flat Earth.
Yeah, especially when you're hearing numbers like Brazil has 11 million flat earthers, and that their president is friends with a flat earther or is being talked to by flat earthers. It's important to get out there and cover some of this area. So everybody, you are listening to Jeran is a Monday Night Raw. We're about to go to a break here shortly, and then we'll be shutting down the YouTube stream. You can still find us on tfrlive.com. Just click listen live, or on dlives.tv/Jeranism, but we'll get a little bit more uncensored in the second half. So if you have questions for Russian Vids, give us a call. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
You've seen the truth and you feel betrayed. Well, it comes with cost, a price too large. 'Cause if we're really just born to die, I'd rather not have been born. Stay in school, they said. You.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a strong belief in government and the mainstream media. It is estimated that 1 out of every 2 children are being raised by parents infected with the sheeple virus. But there is a cure. For as little as 19 cents per day, you can become a TFR supporter and help children like me get their daily dose of truth. Together, we will make sure every child has protection from deception.
Arguing over impeachment, assessing missile plans. I'm Jan Johnson. House Democrats could consider more articles of impeachment based on testimony from an ex-White House counsel. As correspondent Bob Costantini reports, the argument came up in a courtroom today where the Justice Department fought to keep Don McGahn from answering a subpoena.
There's a new impeachment wildcard to consider, since a number of White House aides were ordered to not testify in various House inquiries, even those related to Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report. Democrats in the House continue to seek court orders compelling them to testify. And in a Monday court filing, House lawyer Douglas Letter let it be known President Trump might be impeached a second time if the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals rules against the White House. Specifically at issue is former White House counsel Don McGahn. His testimony is sought for what he can tell House Democrats about the firing of James Comey and alleged attempts by the president to get Special Counsel Robert Mueller fired. Bob Costantini, Washington.
Officials say North Korea may be preparing a harder line against Washington as part of a promised Christmas gift for the U.S. At the Pentagon, correspondent Barbara Starr says more missile program tests could be in the offing, too.
New images show expanded efforts at one plant for production of long-range intercontinental ballistic missile launchers. At the Sohae satellite launching station, the U.S. is looking for signs of more advanced engine missile tests or launch of a long-range missile that could threaten the U.S.
It's been raining hard from California into the Pacific Northwest and in the Deep South. But meteorologist Tom Sater tells us the many millions who might want a white Christmas probably won't get it.
Most of the U.S. will have temperatures more like Easter than they will Christmas. If you're hoping for a white Christmas, if the snow is not already on the ground, most of us are not going to see it at all.
The Dow gained 96 points today. I'm Jan Johnson.
Wherever you are, make it Truth Frequency Radio.
On the weekday, don't be surprised, don't be surprised. Walk like us. They even talk like us. Walk like us. But they are not like us. On the weekday, you can see the signs, you can see the signs. They wear the disguise. Look into the mind's eye. There's nowhere to hide. Don't stick to the lines. Whispers from afar.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to Jeranism Monday Night Raw. We are on DLive.tv, and of course, TFRlive.com. So welcome to the show. We've got Russian vids and RV. Did I interrupt you before you were saying something before the break? I don't remember if you were in the middle of something.
No, just earlier, before we went to break, the first initial break we had, I was mentioning about predictive programming. We can get into that later if you want, about future events. They always give us hints, from all these events. I don't know if we could talk about them now, but
now we can. We're good.
Okay. So just like I said, the Titanic, all these events, they basically give us clues. This is their MO, what they've done so many times. So I'm always looking for clues, for future events. It's not going to change. There could be some red herrings. I believe they already got the East Coast with of course New York with 9/11, with that going down, and then now they maybe want to hit the West Coast. So it's a West Coast type thing.
Jared, did you see what's going on in Australia with the fires? RV, I sent you the pictures that Mitchell from Australia took. So Mitchell's got these tanker planes dropping the red fire retardant literally a stone's throw from his house. But all of the tail numbers, RV, what do you think about this? All of the tail numbers have a 13 in it, and one of them was 9/11.
Yeah, David, and the footage was not film with the potato. It was very good quality footage. I was blown away the quality of the footage. One key point I want to make, of course, Jeran, you being in California as well, the rail lines. The rail lines. This is where all the fires are going down. The proposed rail lines
for the high
going
speed.
down. Yeah, high speed rail lines going from north to south, California. Now, I'm getting contact from people. There's many followers in Australia telling me basically what's going down over there as well. And I said it many times. I believe the chemtrails are not what the mainstream so-called conspiracy theorists think. That they're. I'm not saying it's not doing some damage in certain areas, but I believe a huge aspect is weather manipulation, weather control, and they might be manipulating droughts to help spur these wildfires in Australia. And again, it's going down these high-speed rail lines in Australia as well. So they're doing the same thing in Australia and California. So people need to really pay attention to these details. And definitely these are man-made and man-created type of environments that are taking place. I have no doubt about it.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I totally agree. And do you think it's interesting? I mean, obviously, I think I told it last week or something, but of course they're not teaching any of these things in schools that children need to know. My wife was talking to her sister who's in high school who said, "Oh, we learned about 9/11 today," and she said, "Oh, what did they say about Building 7?" She's like, "What's Building 7?" What do you? Of course, they're not going to mention any of these things. So it's important to get it out there to schools. I've mentioned it a few times recently. I just found out that students in classes are listening to a 15 or 20-minute news piece every day that's created especially for students. So, I love to tell people to don't watch the news, but now we've got all these children who are the future, right? I mean, that's who's going to be coming up. 17, 18-year-olds are going to be adults soon, and they're all getting this news piece that they have to watch. In fact, they have homework assignments based on this news. I just think it's crazy. It's going to be a tough hill to climb, but we're obviously doing a good job. People out there are waking up to some of these deceptions.
Well, Jeran and David, the huge thing I always talk about, and I mentioned it many times, is when you look at the Twin Towers coming down after 33 years, the North Tower construction started in 1968, towers coming down after 33 years, basically. And, of course, the same year, the 9/11 calling system went into play in 1968. These are not by chance. 60 years, September 11th, 1941, 6 years of the day the Pentagon supposedly gets attacked. This is not by random. So it tells you how far they plan things out. It's definitely the script, and who knows how far back they plan these events, but definitely it's in the making, and events are going to occur in the future. We know these are on their script, basically. I wish I could see their script. We're not going to see it, but it's all going to play out. And here's a big thing when it comes to truth is, when I was calling a lot of things, I was called the auto hoaxer for calling things fake in the news. I'm like, people tell me, even so-called conspiracy theorists will come on my show and say, Russia Viz thinks everything is fake. I said, I want to repeat this to you. your news is fake. I'm not saying what's happening in your everyday life is fake. Your news is fake, and I want to emphasize it's your news. It doesn't mean something that shooting that happened in Atlanta, Georgia, that's not getting covered, or Chicago or New York. It's fake. It's what they're spotlighting on TV that they're controlling. These people that run the show, they don't want 90% control, 80%, 90%. They want 100% control. They are in control, and this is how you're going to do it, by staging it and highlighting what they create.
People forget that there's shootings and things every day, everywhere.
Yeah.
And they just pay attention to what they feed you on NBC News, and that's what you have to realize is fake.
Yeah, and the thing is just clearly, Jeran and David and everybody else listening in, is, I'm not saying something that gets a blip in the screen that's covered for 2-3 minutes is fake. They might mention something like that, but when it's pounded in the media, and you see these so-called family members, victims, no tears, no redness in the eyes, with a so-called shooting, whatever, you know it's BS. I seen a local news story where a woman couldn't find her dog, and she's these tears are rolling out of her eyes, and she's just distraught and all that, and that never happens with any of these so-called family members from Sandy Hook, Boston, or anything else.
That, Harvey, that is such a trigger point for me, especially with the Sandy Hook thing. Today, Owen Benjamin was texting me, asking me about. First, he was asking me about Kavanaugh and being the same person as his accuser, and then and then we got into Sandy Hook, and he asked me if I had any images of the Sandy Hook thing, and man, do I have images! And I just hammered him with all of these memes that I had made over the years, of the kids at the Super Bowl, the McDonald family, with the happiest, smiley, brightest eyes ever 2 days after their daughter was murdered. It sends me up the friggin' wall when people can't see that.
But that's evidence of psychopaths. Because that's
I don't even think a psychopath could act like that. My dog died 40 years ago, okay? And I can't talk about it.
Right. Yeah. But I think psychopaths can stand there, they can stare into the screen, and they do what they think needs to be done. They act like they think humans should act, but they can't. It's just impossible for them. They can't shed tears no matter how hard they try.
Yeah.
You know what a key thing is to me is I look at these psychological operations, and it's just like voting. Are you going to vote for a Republican or Democrat? It's none of the above. Just like Sandy Hook, was it Adam Lanza or the guy in the forest with camouflage pants that was arrested and placed in the car? It's none of the above. It's a hoax. So we don't see a drop of blood. We don't see a single bullet hole in the classrooms, and then they tear down the freaking school. How convenient, that we get nothing but nonsense. So, yeah, I mean, this is the thing is a lot of people out there that, just they only get the one side of the story, and that's the mainstream media, and they just believe it. They're programmed just to believe it. They never bother to look at the second side. They come home from work. They're tired from coming home from their slave job. It's just more work for them to look at any of this stuff. Now it makes their life more complicated. It's like, what are you going to do to me? I don't want to even go there. I don't want to look at that. They want to turn a blind eye to it. It's like someone has something wrong with them, but they don't want to go to the doctor. They're stubborn. They're afraid they might find something wrong with them, that type of thing. And not that I suggest going to the doctor, but it's just people are just, again, they're just people get in a rhythm in life, abusive relationship, whatever. People are just accustomed to, they're miserably comfortable with their lives, and they don't want to change anything. People are creatures of habit, and that includes going to work, watching the news, having their dinner, take a shower, go to bed, and do the same thing like Groundhog Day. And so you're breaking a pattern, and it's basically, like I said, that's why you have to plant a seed. You got to let people wake up on their own terms. No one can change anybody but themselves. And sometimes when you push people too much, they run. So that's why, everybody's different. You got to approach everybody differently when it comes to a lot of these topics.
But like you said, it just takes planting the seed. And I, told the story a million times that, when I heard 9/11 first, I told my friend he was crazy. Get out of here. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about that. Same thing when my wife said, do you think the earth could be flat? Absolutely not. You're crazy. How would planes go around it? Same thing when somebody told me Stonehenge was just, built with cranes and reorganized in 1950. It's like, no, come on. I don't want to hear. I was told it's 5,000 years old and it was put up. We don't know how these guys stack these bricks on top of, or stones on top of these things. And then it just takes time. It just takes time. You're looking into it for yourself. And a lot of people, you nailed it right on, Russian Vids, because when I was a store manager for a drugstore, if anybody came in with any of this information, I would have been like, I don't have time, because I was working 70 hours a week. I had to come home. I had to take care of my son. I was a single dad. I had to put food on the table. I had to get him to bed. I had to get in bed myself. I had to be up the next day by 5 a.m. And you just don't have time. And that's what they want. That's how they let you in. So it takes you actually getting some time, looking into these things yourself, and like you said, plant the seed. It's the best way to get them to look.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree 100%. And unfortunately, like you said, Jeran, people are just, not only that, like you said, working, 40 to 70 hours a week, depending on the individual, but on the weekends, just you're consumed with many people consume with sports or pro wrestling or whatever, and so basically you're a slave 5 days a week. If you work 5 days a week, then the weekends you're sedated with your favorite alcohol beverage of choice. Maybe some marijuana, who knows what, and then just sitting on a couch watching a bunch of millionaires throwing a football around or hitting a baseball out of a stadium or whatnot. Just so it's really unproductive time. They're just drained from they're mentally drained, which makes them physically drained, and they're just on the couch or maybe making a barbecue in the weekend. So yeah, it's just their whole life is just consumed with it's a slave world we live in, and this is the reality. And
they have us dumping our energy in useless places. The whole porn industry, that is a suck of life essence. They sports, you see the people in these sporting games. Now I can understand some high school sports, college maybe, but the NFL and the pro Major League Baseball, the people get so worked up, their whole lives are about it, and they're just spewing energy. Then they're exhausted. Then they have to go back to work. Drinking, sports, and work. That's it. And television. That's their life.
What's funny is talking about sports is you look at baseball, for example, and you look at the Houston Astros, previously the Colt 45s back in the 60s. This stadium they built, the Astrodome or the Stardome, was based off NASA. This was basically a NASA project with Houston. And you look at the first dome stadium, the Houston Astrodome. It has the glass ceiling, above. You have the rainbow seats underneath the dome. You have the grounds crew that are wearing orange astronaut outfits, running around the field every couple innings to level off the dirt around the bases. Right. So this whole concept of millions. What I'm getting is millions upon millions of people have entered the Houston Astrodome to watch the Astros play and not have a clue. They're sitting in basically the whole flat Earth concept, the whole flat Earth model right there in front. And also, I should mention, they had Polaris and North Star in the parking lot. The first photos released the Astrodome when it was brand spanking new. There's Polaris right there in the parking lot as well. So
it's all a ritual. I mean, they build these things to do these rituals. You talked about when they dropped the kingdom, the kingdom.
Yes.
It's the fall of the kingdom. I mean, it's
and the sky.
The whole world is the whole world is a stage of magic. I said this today that if you don't factor wizardry into your analysis of what this world is, you don't even get close to slightly figuring it out.
Absolutely. You have to, the thing is this, you're going to sound, this is again, the concept of duality of A to Z. When we're told A, when the reality is Z, it's too far to go for people. And of course, you're going to sound like an absolute nut. But the main thing is this, I always tell this to people, when they talk about anything in the so-called conspiracy theory realm, you just can't pull things out of thin air. You got to have solid evidence to back up what you say and you state. That's where I believe I've been successful on my channel, is I make sure I have something solid to stand by. That's why I don't get involved with things like human cloning and celebrities cloning. It's just science fiction. Yeah. It's nonsense. There's nothing strong to grasp on, to hold, to prove that point. But I looked at everything. And that's my foundation of everything I cover. I don't follow trends. If I think something's BS, if some other channels are pushing it, I'm not going to touch it. So we have to stick to things we can prove solidly.
Yeah, that's why it's it's easy or fun to at least have a flat Earth channel, because it's constant proof coming out all the time. And now they bury a lot of these other channels that are doing good tests across water. I mean, of course, we've seen so many at this point that you just can't refute the fact that we see way too far, that there is no curvature of the Earth. But of course, they're hiding all that content. They demonetized Globebusters today. I mean, they're just doing everything they can to stop the truth. But all we can do is just keep speaking it. And like you said, have some facts, have some evidence, show people, and then let them decide. Plant the seed.
Yeah, and that's a big thing is, David, I don't want to go too long, and Jeran, is, see, the difference between 9/11 and the flat Earth is people can do their own experiments in their everyday life regarding flat Earth. 9/11, New York, you got to work off evidence that could be, some of it, of course, fabricated, pre-produced, like we know it is, and you're trying to deal with information that's basically fabricated. When it comes to a flat Earth, David, Jeran, you could do a presentation, and people can go outside and get a P900 or P1000 and do these experiments. Look at the stars, so-called distant suns, and see they're not distant. They're not suns. They're dancing around in the sky. They're not behaving like a sun. So they can do their own experiments, and so it's really again, this is so very important.
It's just hard to tell somebody to do an experiment with 9/11. You can't tell them go fly a plane into a 110-story building and see what happens. You can't do that. You can't tell somebody to go do their own experiment with Sandy Hook. So exactly. I see the difference, with flat Earth, you can actually tell people, go do it yourself. Don't trust me. Go do it yourself. But with some of these other events, and like you said, with 9/11, with Sandy Hook, I mean, there's things put out on purpose to get people lost and confused. And then what I always say is the worst thing is you've got truthers who argue with each other over, was there no planes? Was it holograms? Was there planes? Was there bombs? There missiles? And then they fight with each other and they forget the main point is that you were lied to. Just focus on that and explain to people that they were lied to, because you're just not going to figure out. I don't think we'll ever know what happened on 9/11.
Yeah, and that's key. That's key. Exactly what I said earlier is, when all you have to work with is a bunch of misinformation and a bunch of media fakery, good luck finding the truth. But we know, I said this a million times, we might not know it all, but we know we're being lied to in a grand scale. We're trying to figure it out. One thing I want to mention to David before I forget is David really hammered something in my head about people talking about refraction when they're doing observations, and there's no excuse when using the infrared devices, and you can see much further. And I appreciate David bringing a lot of new things to the table, and he's the first that I've heard mention that. And David, if you could talk about that.
About infrared?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not the one that brought that to the table. That was Jay Tolan Media. Okay. He's the one that broke out the infrared, and then Jeran and I both got our cameras converted, and a whole bunch of other people did. And it's a great thing. Yeah, that's another thing is we all learn from each other. We pick up stuff, and you know what? If I didn't tell RV about something, then he wouldn't tell somebody else about it, and everybody just share everyone's information. Give as much credit as you want, as you can. I don't care if anyone gives me any credit. Take my stuff, make a new channel, make it yours, monetize it, share the money, do whatever you want. Just get the information out there. That's all that matters.
You and I about that the other day. We were just talking about with the Friday Lounge. It's like there's so much information there, and anybody who's watching that can just go off on a tangent and make video after video of all the things that we're discussing. Show Iru's work, show my work, because we don't care. We're not like, only give credit to us. It's like, no, just put the information out there. We don't care how it gets out there. So that's why we do a 4-hour show on Fridays, is just, here's a ton of information. Anybody who wants to make a channel, there's so much stuff for you to make a channel and talk about.
And that's key. That's a key point. Like, for example, when you have the comment section open in videos, it's very important. I've been doing that with all my videos, specifically lately, because when shutting down all the comments, you might have some vital information being passed along to you. You're shutting it off. And I've had over the years many people show me things. For example, people know I play that one song by Meatloaf where in the lyrics go, everything's a lie and that's a fact. Life's a lemon. I want my money back. I didn't find that. One of my subs said that to me. But people think, this is from Russian Vids. But, again, people are sending me stuff all the time, and it's very productive. And that gets back to David and the infrared. I heard it first from David. David found first from someone else. That guy probably got it from someone prior, maybe a coworker, and he passed it on. Who knows? But it's always it's about sharing information And not being greedy
the
about
sad thing. The sad thing, RV, is if we trace our lineage back, we're all the sons and daughters of Mark Sargent and Eric Dubay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Don't open a can of worms, David, when you talk about Eric Dubay.
Back it up. We should take some calls. We have callers on the line, Jeran.
Yeah, do you want to finish your thought there?
Yeah, I'm going to say real quick. I want to say just real quick about Eric Dubay. Fantastic work with Flat Earth. I'm not going to say one bad word about that. It's just some of the other things I don't agree with. But here's the thing is, remember this. Everybody is, we're not going to agree on everything. And we should not fight so much about things we don't agree on. Focus on the things we do agree on. I think that's moving forward. That's the best strategy.
Focus on what you like the best. Focus on the good stuff. Like Jeran said to me, I sent him the video of the guy trying to debunk me. He's like, why do you even look at that? Like once a month, I look just to educate myself, but I don't focus on it. I focus on what I want to put out there, and then more of it's out there when you do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeran.
Yeah, it's just crap. I mean, some of the stuff that you send me is just, guys sitting in front of their camera with 20 views saying, oh, this guy's just a turd peddler. He's just peddling.
It's kind of fun to see that's our competition. It makes you feel pretty good, right? Simon
Dan, every once in a while, I'll tune into Simon Dan. Just what is this guy talking about now? And he's just making jokes and sitting in front of his computer reading a script.
He showed the docking of a satellite to the space station or whatever, and it was obviously a model. He goes, I suppose you think this is fake. And then Eero showed the actual models, how they do it. Right. I'm like, yeah. Exactly. It's like, yeah, it's fake.
With the asteroids and with the black background that he showed. Did you see that on Friday? It was great stuff.
Jeran, I want to just throw in one thing before you take any calls I recently put out a video about so-called satellites in space, which I've covered that topic going back to 2015. Right. Getting information from a man that worked for a Canadian company, Rogers Telecommunication. Right. And I was saying they're fake. He goes, you know what? I know you're right. You know why? I worked for Rogers, and we had 4 sports franchises worth in excess of $100 million each, and we didn't have a single satellite in space. And I also laid under ocean fiber optic cables. Right. And he was saying about, as we know, of course, high power ground towers and under ocean fiber optics. But here's the main thing to me is, again, not to go on too long, is when you look simply at satellite footage and you could zoom in to people walking around the streets, you could zoom in cars, you can see the most detail with these people, again, walking the streets. But when you zoom out, you were supposedly seeing these people walking these streets, like, for example, downtown New York City. Now you zoom out, you go back to a ball on Google Earth. Now, why don't we see as we zoom out, why don't we see any planes? We don't see a single plane in the sky. We don't see any cargo ships anywhere on the top and the side, the bottom of the ball Earth.
Somebody brought that up the other day. Why that we can see the ISS? How come the ISS can't see a cruise ship or a stadium? Yeah. I know Jeran's brought it up many times, but how? Never, ever.
Yeah. And I've had a NASA employee straight out tell me that satellites could easily be fake. He said that they're actually contracted out to different companies. It's not even NASA employees watching it, directing them, controlling them, nothing. They don't even know what's going on. They're just all compartmentalized.
Red Pill Philosophy just put out a video called Interview with a Former NASA Satellite Engineer turned Flat Earther. And I haven't listened to it yet, but it looks pretty good from the thumbnail. Yeah, check that out. It's actually on BitTubers, but there's a link on his YouTube account.
Oh, cool. I know he said he was going to do away with YouTube, which is probably the worst idea. All right, let's try and take a call real quick. Let's go to the 905. You're on with Jeran Monday Night Raw. Who's this?
Ginger.
Hey guys, it's Brian in Niagara Falls.
What's up, Brian? What can we do for you?
Yeah, so I love you guys, but Russian vids, man, you're right up there with Dave and Jeran. So that's great to hear you talking on YouTube again.
Thanks, but I appreciate that very much.
To get the so long story short, I know you like gematria, and I know Meatloaf equals 33.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, what is your take on Marty Leeds and his series based on the number 7?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't seen
numbers and gematria and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I haven't seen his video on that, but I'll definitely take a look into it. And I know Marty Leeds goes really deep into the numbers. I'm a kind of one stop for all type of thing. Flat Earth, shooting hoaxes, Hollywood, you name it. So, but I'll definitely take a look. And I'm sorry I can't respond to that because I haven't seen that actual video on that specific topic. But yeah, he really. This is very key. We all have our strengths, and this is definitely his strength with the numbers.
All right, Paul. We'll be right back, guys, for another half hour of your phone calls. Don't go anywhere. Here, come on there.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Anne, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Jim Ram, retired. In early 2012, I was facing a laundry list of chronic health conditions that my physician was telling me were incurable. I knew there had to be a better way, and I learned how I could reverse every one of my ailments with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. In just a few months, I was able to reverse high blood pressure, gastric reflux, sleep apnea, arthritis, degenerative disc disease, heart arrhythmia, AFib, and many more. And I've lost over 70 pounds and kept it off. Now I'm hosting a radio program that's dedicated to helping my listeners do the same. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you're sick of being used as an ATM by your doctor, then you'll want to tune into the Your DIY Health radio program here on Truth Frequency Radio every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern and 6 to 8 a.m. Pacific.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the Truth Frequency. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
right, welcome back to Jeran Monday Night Raw. We've got your phone calls coming right up. Dave, was it you who sent the article about NASA saying that they found a candy cane in space?
Yes, isn't that amazing? Right around Christmas.
Amazing. It's just like the jack-o'-lantern sun. Unbelievable, man. It's just whatever they can put out there to reconfirm space, to re-put it in people's minds. It's real. Space farce. Trump's got to keep talking about that, of course. And what a better way to get people involved in the military than to pretend that there's going to be a space force. You'll get all these children graduating high school, and they will want to go into the military. And guess what? They're going to end up in the Army or in the Navy or something, and they're going to be bombing these other countries and continuing these war hoaxes and just continuing to boost the military industrial complex. That's the way it goes. All right, let's take a call from 843. You're on with Journalism Monday Night Raw and Russian Vids. Who's this? Where are you from? 843. All right, let's try 647. You're on with Journalism Monday Night Raw. Who's this?
Hey, Jeran, what's going on? It's Kevin. I'm just outside of Toronto here.
What's up, Kevin? How are you?
I'm good, guys. Dave, you stole my opener. I wanted to open with the candy cane story.
I believe Jaren's the one that stole it, but I'll take full credit, though.
Hey, guys, don't forget, candy cane is also 33.
Is it really?
No, I'm saying, CC, the initials. Right. Full Cosmos.
And somebody in chat said the stripes are Masonic.
Yeah. But there's coded. They like to code things. But, of course, it's just a bunch of nonsense, just candy cane in space. Give me a break.
Such a joke. I don't know who's believing this stuff or buying it. But, again, if you're just sitting at home and you're watching TV and the news and you see that article come across, it just reconfirms that people are out there staring, trillions of miles into space and seeing things. And they're not. It's just not happening. What else you want to talk about, caller?
I was actually calling in. I was wondering, did you guys get an unusual amount of spraying today in any of the cities you live in?
Spraying?
Spraying. Oh no, it's been raining.
Spraying.
Yeah, sorry, spraying.
It's been pretty wet here. Yeah.
We
chemtrails.
Yeah, we got a crazy amount the other day, and then today was clear. I put the drone up. I was going to go live at sunset, and right at sunset, they just completely covered the sky.
Yeah, that's actually what I was calling about, Dave, because I know if you listen to Crow 777, he always says, the solstice is, off a few days from the 21st, their set day.
Does he say the
solstice? I was just trying to make a case that I believe today. Yeah, the winter solstice. I believe today may be the actual real winter solstice because where I live, about 20 minutes outside of Toronto, they definitely didn't want us to see the sunrise or sunset today because it was unreal. Like, they just blasted us.
Okay, appreciate the call.
And I was just curious.
Oh, and I haven't seen it here. We've been overcast and raining in California.
Sometimes they're doing the West Coast, sometimes they're doing the East Coast, sometimes they do the whole thing, but it's been crazy. We have very, very few days, if none, of any, with no spraying. Sometimes you get a half a day, but it's ridiculous.
Out here on the West Coast in California, I mean, literally, it's over the Pacific, right off the coast in San Francisco, and it's just like, again, I said it many times. It's a combination of weather manipulation. Certain areas are spraying things that are harmful. Mm-hmm. So there could be other. There's other. I said it many times where they're killing multiple birds with one stone. It could also be used for, other things, that we're not even aware of yet, that will come out at a later date.
Yeah, absolutely. It's another one of those. We'll try one more time, 843. You're on with Journalism Monday Night Raw. Going once, going twice, 843 now. All right, let's go to 951. You're on with Journalism Monday Night Raw. Who's this? 951. There you go.
Oh, yes. Yes, this is Alan from Temecula. And Russian Vids, I have you to thank for being considered an outcast now. Being a flat Earth believer.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
So
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, really. Yeah, thanks a lot. Anyway, I watched one of your William Brothers Sisters videos, and I thought, I believe that. I said, I'm going to look into this guy. So I clicked on one of your other videos, and you're doing like a movie review, and you go, and look in the back, there's an Easter egg. There's a flat Earth on the wall. And when you said flat Earth, I thought, this guy is a kook. I'm not going to listen to his videos anymore. So here I am. In fact, I was a school photographer. I'm going into the preschool and kindergarten classes, and I would do a graduation picture, and I always had a globe in the background. And after that, I could not put the globe in the background anymore. You ruined that too. So
nice.
Yeah.
So the question.
Did they tell you?
The question I have is
no, or is it something you just did?
I just quit using it. I couldn't, in good conscience, I couldn't put the globe in the picture anymore.
Did they tell you to have the globe in the picture to start with? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was asking that. Or was it?
Oh, no, it was my idea years ago, and I thought it was a great idea. You know, it looks academic and scientific, you know, to have a globe in the background. But no globe anymore.
Good.
So one question. Yeah. Satellite dishes here in Temecula, they're all pointing kind of southeast. And I saw one house where the dish is pointing, and it looked like it wouldn't even clear the hill to get to the, power towers, because I know there's not satellites. Is DirecTV just cables under the ground, or how do they do that?
They're using a combination. I talked years ago to a cable guy that he did local cable. Before that, he said, the reason it takes a long time for cable TV to get out there to the boonies and these hard to get to locations is they're literally have to connect all these cables. Literally, he said, and going through all these different terrains. And he said he was doing work in the Philippines, everywhere. And this is way back. I believe that this man was telling me this. It could have been, was it around 2003 or whatnot? But the bottom line, they're using a combination of these cables under ocean, above ocean, and also, of course, the high powered different technologies. But basically, they're all integrated, all working together, type of thing. So you heard it a million times, like, oh, I live out here. We don't even have cable TV. Well, that cable TV is running through that infrastructure of cables.
Right. And I still think they can put up balloons. They can send signals up off of these, balloons on satellites, and then just direct that signal to your house, and you have a bunch of people pointing in the same direction. And of course, to most, that's going to be proof of some sort of globe or some sort of satellite in geosynchronous orbit. It's not. It's very easy for them to do, and it makes a lot more sense if they're just bouncing something off of a few 100,000 feet rather than 22,000 miles or something ridiculous. And they can calculate the speed of light and going through the atmosphere and through the clouds and through the haze, and it's that's just not happening. Any other question for me?
Okay. Hey, keep up the good work. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks
so much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate the call. All right, let's go to the 781. You're on with Journalism Monday Night Raw and Russian Vids. What's up?
This 781.
You got it.
Hello.
Yep, you're on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's John, guys. How you doing?
What's up,
From
John?
Massachusetts. I just wanted to thank all you guys for ruining my lives and making me the outcast, just like that gentleman mentioned. Dave was the one that got me into Flat Earth a few years ago, and I knew about Russian Vids because I was into the that same circle with the all the hoaxes like Sandy Hook and Boston bombing and so forth. So, I mean, this was all around my neighborhood practically as well because I live in Massachusetts, so this was all huge. So the people talking about this kind of stuff being phony were just, I was losing friends left and right.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, as you'd mentioned, get to the point that I want to talk about. All of you guys have all of your kind of your special gifts and stuff, and you're not right about everything, obviously. No one is. Mm-hmm. And I just heard P-Brain the other day, I think it was today, actually mentioned that he believes that Trump is going to be the one that exposes NASA. And I'm like, P-Brain, of all people, I'm like, I couldn't believe he was one to, say such a thing. But at any rate, I was wondering, and one of the previous calls talked about Marty Leeds and his work with Gematria, and he's done a lot of uncovering of Freemasons. And I got to reading Morals and Dogma, and after about 100 pages, I realized that Freemasons aren't what everyone is cracking them up to be. And I'm wondering, Russian Vids, if you would have actually read a scholarly book written by, one of these Freemasons, like Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma.
Yeah, definitely read a good amount. And here's the thing: is John is and thanks so much is a lot of Freemasons I've spoken to in my personal life online. I throw out the quotes from Albert Pike and how Albert Pike talks about how lower level Masons are deceived, intentionally deceived. It's only made for the knowledge, for the adepts, the enlightened ones at the very top, and the rest are deceived. So this is what really gets me is even Masons. I've had Masons come on my channel and tell me I'm a 32 degree Freemason, and after watching your videos, I never look at Freemasonry the same way, and I thank you for that. And that's coming from a Mason telling me who I'm a non-Mason, of course, and so I get that. So yeah, but the bottom line is this: is our scripted reality, and Albert Pike talks about the 3 world wars and how it's all going to go down, and they literally tell us what's going to go down before it happens, and what it all comes down to is the devil's in the details. And again, a lot of Masons they don't know. I've talked to so many Masons that just they're just literally kept in the dark. The Masons at the local lodges are just like they're like the shield, right. It's like a feel-good, community, people coming together, and they have no clue what's going on at the top. It's just like the Vatican, where there's a lot of good Catholics that don't know what's going on with the Pope. They trust the Pope and everybody involved with the Vatican, and they are well-intended people, but they're misled, just like a majority of Freemasons.
Yeah, and we'll have Marty Leeds on because I know Marty Leeds has talked to me about that before, and he says, I think you have a wrong idea about Freemasons, and so we'll have him on to talk about that. I mean, mostly when we're slamming Freemasonry, we're talking about the upper echelon,
yes,
of Freemasonry, not the bottom rungs. I mean, of course, those people don't know what's going on. It's just a fraternity, and what better way to hide it than to have a fraternity of men who have no idea what's going on at the very top until you reach the 33rd or beyond that, and then I've heard stories about them telling you to spit on the Bible. And if you don't, they say, congratulations, good, you graduate. But really, the ones that do are the ones that then get catapulted into the upper echelon and then start deceiving people from there. So, yeah, it's not the same. We're not talking about your uncle who's a Freemason and he's a second degree and he goes to meetings on Thursdays or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to 843. Oh, was this the same call again? 843, you're on with Jeran Monday Night Raw. We'll try you again.
Jeran, how are you doing?
What's up, my friend? How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted a couple of things. A friend of mine just posted a video on Facebook, and that Boeing spacecraft that went up the other day, I guess it was visible from South Carolina, and that's where I am. I didn't see it, but he got up in the morning at like 5 a.m. and took a video of it.
Right.
And he posted it on Facebook. And you can see it. It's going horizontal, right, over the tree lines. You can see the clouds above the ship, right?
Right.
And you can see it going horizontal, and then it breaks into its second stage,
right?
And you can actually see it starting to go down again, and going down. And it's like, this is space. This is so awesome. I love space. And I'm like, I just posted onto him. I go, that's not even as high as a plane. And I just posted it on his Facebook, and I'm like, that's where I left it. I didn't comment any further. I'm not gonna cause problems, but it's like it's so foolish.
Cause
awesome.
problems.
It's
yeah, I was gonna say Dave's gonna get pissed if you say that. Dave's gonna say
cause problems.
It's the easiest trick in the world. They know we can.
Yeah, I'm trying to cause problems.
Jeran, you know why it's not above the clouds?
Why it's not above the clouds?
Yeah.
Well, because it's off in the distance.
No, because if it was above the clouds, no one would be able to see it and claim that we're in space.
Right. What a trick, right? I mean, you just realize how far people can see. How far can they see? About 100 miles, 150 miles? Good. All we have to do is get this craft up in the air, launch it further than 150 miles, and dump it in the ocean. And people will tell their friends about it, and they'll take film of it, and Reg Rhetoric will dance around and scream in happiness every time he sees it happen. And it's just not going where they think it is.
And it's a light in the sky, too. It's also a light in the sky. It's nothing something like that's third dimensional, that you can see like doors and latches and all this stuff, and it's just smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors. Yep. So thanks.
And unfortunately, you could see the clouds above the ship, right? And it's breaking into the second stage, and it's below the clouds. And it's like a plane doesn't even fly that low. And it's like, oh my God! And it's still going down. And he is so excited about. I love space. I love space. This is awesome. We're going into space. And I'm like, dude, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the call.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's go to the 541. You're on with Journalism on Raw, Russian Vids. DITRH, what's up?
Hey, guys. Love you guys. And just want to offer one suggestion. Dave, as you guys are pushing this, a challenge I ran into when I was early in Flat Earth was I wasn't sure who was a shill and who was legitimate. And I was triggered during Owen Benjamin's transformation and reached out to him on Insta and said, sure, Eric Dubé might not be for you. Check out Dave and Jeran. But he came back to me, which was awesome, and said, how do you connect me with him? And I reached out to Jeran on Instagram, which I don't even think went to you, Jeran. And I realized I didn't have a way to connect with you. And that also brought up another issue. Is like, there's no list of people who we can trust. And I understand there's infighting within the community, but once we find Dave, Jeran, Russian Vids, it solidifies the perspective, but it's difficult for new people not to venture out into a Flat Earth Society site or, a Simon Dan or whatever these guys' names are. So it'd be really awesome if somebody like Dave, Jeran, somebody who's awesome and trusted.
You just said the list: realm, Dave, Jeran, Russian Vids, and possibly Karen B.
Possibly.
Yeah, but not Mark Sargent. Not Eric. Not not even Owen.
Well, now we just need to put it in a catchy meme so it goes viral. But all right, so that's my suggestion. If somebody could just help transmit that information, keep people away from, the shill sites and direct them to you. And I love being part of this community and, of course, directing people to you too. But one question is, have you guys thought about, how sorry, Jeran?
Go ahead, shoot.
Okay. So, how, people or when they're tracking fish migration patterns or like dolphins, they'll tag them and sharks and whatnot. Clearly in the southern hemisphere, right, there's going to, with the flat earth model, there's going to be some measurements there. And so one thought process would be, as we wage guerrilla style warfare to combat the misinformation campaign, is there some way that we could track the migration patterns of animals within the southern hemisphere to show that, they're entering ocean that shouldn't be there? And then a secondary comment, which is way above my knowledge of technology, but it's something I've been trying to come up with a way to solve this problem. Is sure, none of us feel safe going to Antarctica and passing the 60th parallel. But is there an ability to create some sort of like drone boat, drone ship, some sort of beacon, something that we could send off from different, say send it off from South America, send it off from Australia, send it out where we could somehow boomerang it, maybe it's solar powered technology, but something that goes out and comes back and captures some sort of GPS or some sort of video that goes beyond where we should be able to go. So something I was just trying to toss out there into the ether and see if you guys had thought about that at all.
Thanks for the call. I mean, my question is, you just never know the distances that you're talking about. I mean, if you track any kind of animal, fish or something swimming out in the Southern Ocean, and they swim into territory that we think is expanded, all they do is reduce the speed. So rather than this fish going 2 miles an hour, now all of a sudden it's going a half a mile an hour, and nobody's going to ever be able to prove that that's not what's happening. And as far as a craft, again, you need extra fuel. I mean, you're talking about traveling if you're skirting the ice wall.
They even did that. They even did that with the guy that sailed around the world, went underneath Africa and South America and went around, and they had his average speed was like 20 or something, 25 miles an hour or whatever it was. Then you have the Antarctic race, which is lower, below the 60th parallel. And it took them like twice as long or 3 times as long, but they were only going like 7 miles per hour. The ones that were racing were going a quarter of the speed the guy that wasn't racing.
I actually think it was less than that,
yeah.
David. It was 4 knots. They were going 4 knots. The Catharsis 2 that supposedly circumnavigated. They say it went 14,000 miles. Well, yeah, if you have the globe map and you have the GPS and you look at that and say, oh, he went 14,000 miles, well, then you look at the speed and you realize that boat is capable of doing 30 knots or even more. So, I mean, now figure it out with 30 knots, and all of a sudden that total travel distance comes out to 80,000. So, come on. Let's go to the 888. You're on with Journalism Monday Night Raw. Russian Vids, what's up? You're on, 888. Going once. We can hear you. Guess not. Let's go to the 346. You're on with Journalism Monday Night Raw. Who's this?
Is it me?
Yep, it's
yes.
you.
Yes, no, maybe so?
It is.
Yes.
Okay, listen. Okay, my name is on your patron list, Jeran, okay? I want you to understand that I'm using that for an intellectual property thing, and you'll understand who I am when I tell you who it is, but what's written in the last email that I wrote you, okay? Because what I have to say, I don't want anybody to be able to come and reach me for repercussions, okay? But I was wondering how Tesla said the earth rang like a bell. I realized that ground rings at 0, right? Ground rings at 0. It can't ring. So it has to be the firmament that rings like a bell, right? Would you agree with that?
Okay. I get what you're saying.
Okay. All right. Listen, magnetic induction coils, okay? The same way you charge phones by matching harmonic resonant frequencies. Okay, if the capstone in the pyramid were able to dial a specific harmonic resonant frequency to the magnetic field, you've got induction all over the world. Anywhere under the firmament. I figured out Tesla's free energy, man. I've been working on it for 30 years. I'm sharing it out in the open so that hopefully an engineer can build it because it's free. Nobody can own it.
Right.
When it gets built, it'll be for everybody. Your grandkids can throw away their Reliant bills and maybe their gas cards.
Okay. Well, thanks for the call. We'll check the email. We've got 3 other calls we got to get to in just about 4 minutes. So appreciate the call, though. And did you guys catch out what he was saying about induction? I don't know. I'll have to look into it.
We'll check the emails. A little over my head, but it sounds very interesting.
Well, the thing is, though, even with this technology, these governments won't allow it. It's just like the cars that run off salt water, swamp water, whatever. You know, they take the patents, and it's not going to go public. It's not going to be available. You know, small communities might use it if they live in the boonies, but as far as it being a mass distributed, there's no way, unfortunately.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, not going to happen, unfortunately.
303, you're on with Journalism Monday Night Raw. Keep it under a minute if you can.
Hey, David, guys. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Hey, regarding the moon and the planets, do people realize that they always talk about they look like they're spheres, you know, from down here? But do they realize when they see them on a screen, on a computer or a television or a movie screen, that the screen is flat?
Right. You can't see 3D anyway without a double vision and looking through a telescope.
So God's screen, if there is a creator, a God, then the screen that he made is probably as good as that or better. So does that make sense?
Yeah. No, appreciate the call.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have
got it. Let's
thought of that.
Get another one in. 216, you're on with Journalism Monday Night Raw. Who's this?
Hey, it's Jeff in Cleveland. Hey, I was looking. You've done a video on black boxes on airplanes before?
I talked about them. I haven't done a specific video. Are you talking to me or Russian Vids?
No. Either one, anybody. I was watching something today. It was showing how they're wanting to make it so, when they recover these boxes and they're destroyed and they can't get the information, they're wanting to make that information, immediate, like continuously as they're going. Know what I'm saying?
Well, you think they'd have that ability.
I was just wondering.
Yeah,
they don't, and they're wanting to do that.
The problem with the black boxes is whenever there's a massive catastrophe like 9/11, the boxes vaporize.
Oh, MH370, where's that black box?
Yeah.
And also the black boxes are actually orange for a reason.
Good point.
There you go. Yeah. All right, well, we're not going to take any more calls because we're here at the end of the show. But Russian Vids, really appreciate you being on, man. Anytime you want to join us, jump on.
Anytime, Jeran. I appreciate it. And David as well. Thanks so much for having me on. Can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah, so definitely follow Russian Vids. He's got a YouTube channel. Are you anywhere else besides YouTube? Are you still doing BitTube or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked, Jeran. I'm also on 153news.net and with site owner Jason Boss, who's a former Google employee who lives in Panama. And it's a truth channel for truthers, created by a truther for truthers. So he's really put so much time and effort and energy into creating this channel where basically you could put up anything. You don't have to worry about it being pulled down. It's safe.
All right, guys.
All right, everybody. See ya.
Merry
Take care.
Stuff. Later.
Thanks again.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information you're looking for is buried by official narratives and propaganda. This is why TFR is 100% uncensored, unregulated, and listener-supported. The shows on TFR are not micromanaged by the station, and our hosts are free to speak their minds however they please. As such, the views and opinions expressed on our station are of those who make them. If you happen to hear anything offensive on TFR, please send us an email to toughtitty@tfrlive.com, and we'll be happy to tell you that we really don't give a damn. We stand for freedom of speech and non-censorship. If you also stand for free speech, you can go to tfrlive.com/signup and sign up for a TFR supporter pass and help us in our mission to keep the airwaves uncensored and unregulated. TFR Live, your uncensored and unregulated protection from deception.
Summoning witnesses, rejecting a verdict. I'm Jan Johnson. The Senate's top Republican says he's not ruling out calling witnesses in the impeachment trial of President Trump. Instead, Mitch McConnell tells Fox and Friends he wants something first.
All I'm asking of Schumer is that we treat Trump the same way we treated Clinton. We had a procedure that was approved 100-0. Schumer voted for it, to go through the opening arguments, to have a written question period, and then, based upon that, deciding what witnesses to call.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says the parallel doesn't exist because there was a special counsel investigation before Clinton's Senate trial.
What is wrong with witnesses? What is wrong with documents? One argument, Leader McConnell, give us one argument why they shouldn't be part of the trial.
The global community is rejecting a verdict in the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. As correspondent Nick Robertson tells us,